I'm most dangerous guy here. I got a gun for everyone.
With an almost mythic level of hype following him, Khamzat Chimaev has quickly become one of the most exciting fighters in the MMA world, with his perfect professional record of 12 wins and no losses.
Khamzat Chimaev.
Is that he looks like a nice guy, but he's kind of psychopathic,
Oh, he's
right?
a full psychopath.
One of the fastest rising stars on the UFC roster, he has emerged as a real fan favorite due to his aggressive approach to fighting. But he came from relative obscurity when he debuted in 2020. Born on May 1, 1994, in a small village in the Russian Republic of Chechnya, a region plagued by conflict and war, Khamzat grew up in a family that didn't have much, and when he was a child, his father was not very present, as he spent years at a time working outside of Chechnya. Surely his harsh childhood has contributed to his indomitable spirit and determination.
The Chechens,
Tough fucking
that's
people,
their
man.
mentality too.
Yeah.
It was war against Chechen people. Many bullshit things. Yeah, I was everywhere military, like come to your house and check your house and everything. I was kid, was nervous, and you look at everyone is scared and stressed,
Also, when he was just 2 years old, he fell down a set of concrete steps and smashed his face up real bad. Lost his teeth, broke his nose, and could only breathe through one nostril from then on. This is also how he got a scar on his lip. However, like pretty much every Chechen boy, he was also into wrestling since he was a child.
Traditional sport in my village is wrestling. If you don't do wrestling when you're a kid, they say, we joke with the guys who don't come to the training, you girl, you have to train wrestling, you have to be tough and these things,
He started the sport when he was around 5. He was so small that he had to compete against bigger kids or not at all. As he grew older, he developed a fierce refusal to accept defeat. It shouldn't be surprising then that he won a bronze medal at the Russian National Wrestling Championships in the junior level. In 2012, his older brother Artur moved to Sweden. Khamzat also moved there a year later, along with his mother and one sister.
My brother was living here. He told us, come here, it's good for us.
The four of them settled in a tiny apartment in the southern part of the country.
The beginning was for me, I was young, 19, and just doesn't want to left my friends, but when we come here, it was a small village here as well. It was hard for me. Why I come here and why we stay here and that stuff, Then become normal. If you stay someplace long time, it's becomes like your home,
After moving to Sweden, he wrestled at multiple clubs and quickly earned a reputation as one of the best freestyle wrestlers in the country. However, he struggled to make a living out of it. Keep also in mind that he wasn't eligible to represent Sweden in the Olympics.
Yeah, but because I didn't have some papers, couldn't compete and a big world champion, something like that.
So he got a job loading boxes onto trucks with his brother Artur.
Every morning before the work, I go out and running, see the big house, nice apartments, and was feeling bad for my mother. She don't speak Swedish, and she doesn't have so many friends there, and I was thinking how to be so bored for she is.
Then something happened one night. It was December 2015. December 13th, to be more precise, the night when Conor McGregor entered the octagon and knocked out long-reigning champion Joseph Aldo in just 13 seconds to capture the belt at UFC 194.
Yeah, I was watching for Brick, I was watching his fight. I was working on fight Aldo. Was working the night, take the rest, and 15 minutes to watch his fight. I was look at that, it's if the guys make so many money, millions and this stuff, why I can't do it?
From that moment on, Khamzat was determined to getting signed by the UFC.
If he makes that money, why not me?
When Khamzat was just 23, he started his mixed martial arts journey at the All-Star Training Center in Stockholm, the same gym where Alexander Gustafsson comes from.
And I always like this, brother. Sparring, always cool.
Like many young people, however, he couldn't afford a place to live in the city. Lucky for him, the gym owner saw something special in him and took a chance, offering him a place to stay. A tiny storage room under the bleachers at the gym.
Pitbulls, everything is here.
Where's the naked lady poster? No naked lady posters?
No, brother, it's army, brother.
This allowed Khamzat to keep pushing and pursuing his goals, even when times were tough.
People say they live in the gym, but I'm real living in the gym, brother. Because it's my house.
He lived in that room for 2 years, training 4 times per day. His talent and work ethic quickly produced results. Between 2017 and 2018, he had 3 amateur MMA fights and won all 3 of them. On top of that, he earned the gold medal at the 2016, 2017, and 2018 Swedish Freestyle Wrestling National Championships. And 2018 is also when he finally made his professional debut as a mixed martial artist at the International Ring Fight Arena 14 on May 26 against Gardolf Sagan. He came out on top with a TKO in the second round, announcing his arrival on the scene. And he kept the momentum going, with another victory just a few months later at Fight Club Rush 3, submitting Ole Magner with a rear naked choke in the first round. These early wins set the tone for the rest of his career, one of dominance, power, and a never-say-die attitude. Chimaev was on fire, dominating the competition in Sweden before signing with the Middle Eastern Brave Combat Federation, and he didn't miss a beat there, winning all 4 of his fights. His impressive streak caught the attention of the Swedish Martial Arts Association, who named him Breakthrough Athlete of the Year in 2019. Shortly after, the UFC came knocking, offering him a short-notice fight against John Phillips on Fight Island. Obviously, he'd accepted. It was time to show the world what he was truly made of. Right from the get-go, Chimaev didn't miss a beat, swiftly securing a double leg takedown. He immediately went to work, raining down brutal ground and pound that opened up a cut on Phillips. He was relentless with his punches, never letting up, as he controlled his opponent from the back. Phillips could only focus on survival, unable to escape his grip.
Well, next level toughness from John Phillips, but a 10-8 first round in all likelihood for Chimaev. Round 2 next.
Khamzat came out even stronger in round 2, taking down his opponent with ease and continuing his relentless attack.
Right off the second round, he comes out. He wastes no time. Right now, he's felt Phillips out. He knows where he can win this fight, Mike.
To finally find a devastating dorsal choke that forced Phillips to tap.
Khamzat Chimaev!
It was amazing being in the UFC. I was happy to be here.
Just 10 days later, he faced veteran Reese McKee and destroyed him in the first round.
The control that this man has is relentless. Again, he didn't even have to show his stand-up. This is good enough for me.
After the fight, a new wave of fans was already calling him the new Khabib, due to his dominant wrestling skills and physical prowess. And while his foundation is his exceptional wrestling, he can also showcase deadly striking that can be just as dangerous, as we'll see in a moment. The variety and takedown ability from Chimaev is something to behold. And his body lock grip is insanely strong. But what makes the big difference is his ability to seamlessly transition between the back, side control, and half guard without giving up control, but also opening up a variety of targets and submissions.
Yeah, this is unbelievable right now. Look at this. That might be it.
Striking-wise, his approach is effective and simple. He has a solid tight boxing style with heavy hands, making each shot count. He has good hand speed and great power, and more importantly, he likes to jab. This is particularly important because of his size. His head movement could use some work, but overall, he is a solid striker. If there is any awkward area in his game, it may be in the kicks. He can blast beautiful thudding leg kicks from afar, but the few times we have seen him try to chain in kicks between his boxing combinations, he seemed a bit off. He isn't going to beat elite strikers in the stand-up, but because of his wrestling pedigree, he probably doesn't need to.
If you choke me out, I'll find a black belt, give it to you. How about that?
If I choke you out, I will finish with this sport.
In September 2020, he defeated Gerald Meerschaert in just 17 seconds at a UFC Fight Night in Las Vegas.
He knocked out a guy who's 185 pounds, a real guy, with one punch. He's a 170-pounder. So one of the most special fighters I've ever seen, if not the most special guy that I've ever come across. And he kept telling me leading up to this fight, you think I'm a wrestler. You think I'm a wrestler. Wait till you see my hands.
This made it 3 wins in 66 days for Chimaev in the UFC.
What do you make of Khamzat? Because obviously he is on the tip of everyone's tongues these days.
Yeah. He's a good fighter. You know, I don't think he's what the UFC was building him to be, like this untouchable monster. You know, I think he's a solid fighter. He's good. You know, but there's always ways to beat these guys. You know, and this is why I'm on my.
In December of that year, Khamzat and Edwards were supposed to fight each other. However, the match was put on hold when Edwards tested positive for COVID-19. Chimaev then tested positive for himself in January 2021, which delayed the fight even more. It was rescheduled a third time for March 13, but it needed to be rescheduled once more, as Khamzat was still struggling with the virus.
I was sick with this, you know, and I don't know what's going with this, how I can explain to you. This was hard for me.
Even though he was sick, he tried to stick to his training routine, but this only ended up making things worse. Eventually, he had to abruptly interrupt a training session due to severe chest pains. He would then get in and out of hospitals for quite some time, fighting occasional chest pains, frequent high fevers, headaches, and general muscle pain.
How long had you been sick?
Start to feel me better, then I feel like 1 week better, like 1 week bad, you know. I was training, still training when I was feeling bad also. Sometimes we call ambulance, like they come also to the gym and help me.
At one point, he was coughing up blood, and fearing for his life, he even thought about retiring.
When I come back to my country, here also they helped me. I did my house surgery, I did operation here, so they took out some stuff, like I don't know how to explain in English.
But being the fighter that he is, he eventually added his own body to his list of defeated opponents and made a full recovery. He finally returned to the octagon in October 2021, taking on Li Jingliang.
He seemed very excited. He said, it's the leech versus the wolf. Let's see who eats who. What is your response to that?
I'm gonna eat him.
Khamzat didn't waste a second, and after a quick grappling exchange, took the fight to the mat. While dominating his opponent, he even found time for a quick chat with Dana White.
Held Li Jingliang up while he spoke to Dana White.
I'm gonna fight everybody. I'll fight Brock Lesnar. I don't care who it is. You know, he's just yelling stuff like that.
Despite Li's efforts to counter and escape, Chimaev proved to be a cut above, calmly and efficiently submitting him with a rear naked choke. Li's tactics to tire his opponent and reposition himself were no match for Khamzat's dominant grappling abilities. Just as Li seemed ready to tap out, he lost consciousness, unable to submit.
Khamzat! I was saying a long time I'm gonna come for everybody, I kill everybody. You believe me now? I told you I'm gonna kill him. That I did. He sleep, bro. I come here for everybody. Kill everybody. I'm the champ. I'm the king. Kill everybody.
He's got more wins in the UFC than he's been hit in the UFC.
Khamzat's grappling prowess isn't simply a result of raw strength and power, but also proof of his technical acumen and tactical brain. He's able to seamlessly blend his physical gifts with his cerebral approach to grappling, making him a truly devastating force in the octagon. From his positional awareness to his trap setting, he showcases an innate understanding of grappling that sets him apart from most fighters in the welterweight division.
上一场的比赛，你在中国已经得了很多。
Hello, Mr. Khamzat. Last time after our fight, you have many fans in China. Congratulations. And this fight, your opponent Gilbert is very well-rounded opponent.
I'm gonna kill that guy. That guy is not fucking from Brazil. I'm more than Brazilian than him. I'm from Cantagalo. He's not Brazilian. He speaks English. He can't speak Portuguese.
I'm gonna kill this guy tomorrow. I'm gonna smash him.
Come on, bro.
In April 2022, he stepped into the octagon for his fifth fight under the UFC banner and kept the hype train going at full speed with a hard-fought win over Gilbert Burns. Both fighters chose to keep the 15-minute affair on the feet, trading power shots back and forth. In the first round, Khamzat showed a clear advantage in strength, but Burns refused to go away and bounced back in the second round, landing bombs to even up the fight. However, it wasn't enough to make up the difference.
And still undefeated, Khamzat Chimaev.
I don't like you or something, just work about that. I was working with family, I see the kids before, like, it was hard to fight with you as well. I love you, brother. Thanks, brother.
After this win, most of us were hoping to see him in the octagon against Kamaru Usman, who at the time was the welterweight champion. It was instead announced that Khamzat would fight Nate Diaz in September 2022 for Nate's final fight in the UFC. However, things didn't pan out quite as planned.
We were out there. We were waiting for these guys to come out there. We waited until half an hour past this thing was supposed to start. We could hear that there were some things going on. Our camera crew was actually back here, and they informed us what happened is that there was a little scuffle between Khamzat and Kevin Holland.
Before the press conference of UFC 279, Khamzat put the whole show in jeopardy when he allegedly threw several kicks at fellow fighter Kevin Holland backstage.
There's Khamzat Chimaev and his team, there's Kevin Holland and his team. They've been exchanging some words as of late. There was definitely some physicality, if you will.
Security tried its best to defuse the altercation. However, things took a turn for the worse when Nate Diaz arrived, and a separate altercation broke out between Khamzat's team and Nate's team that escalated into a brawl.
Man, he stalked and slapped him back to Sweden.
Between Diaz's team and Khamzat's team, they had 100 people here.
Yeah.
It's like the Royal Rumble.
That's exactly. You're already off to a really bad start. Anything goes wrong, you've got 100 people that you can't control.
After a 30-minute delay, the press conference only lasted about 5 minutes before Dana White wrapped it up for safety concerns.
For everybody's safety, this is the right decision. As bummed out as everybody is, this is the right move. This needed to be canceled.
To make things worse, the very next day, during the official weigh-ins, Khamzat stepped on the scales, missing weight by almost 8 pounds.
178.5.
This set off a chain reaction about changes, with Ferguson being bumped up to the main event to fight Diaz, and Chimaev instead paired with Kevin Holland.
The obvious question, first of all, is about the weight. How did you miss weight by that much?
They stopped that shit. I don't know. I want to more continue that shit. Hey, this is Chechen, motherfucker. Shut up, guys. I'll fuck you, boy, up. I fucking backstage as well.
Kevin, is this a better fight for you?
Fuck no, but it's gonna be a fun one.
Good for you, sir.
Come fight night, Khamzat put all the drama behind him and proved once more why he is considered one of the very best welterweights on the UFC roster.
Khamzat was in a dominant position the entire time. Like, even when he was rolling, he was doing good rolls, but Khamzat just such good control. It's so fucking strong, dude.
Oh, yeah. He immediately shot for a takedown at the start of the first round. And despite Holland's desperate attempts to resist hitting the floor, he was ultimately pinned down to the mat.
He's an absolute fucking freak of nature.
At that point, Chimaev began working for submissions.
He chose to push harder, he chose to stay with it, he chose to be in love with the feeling of being exhaustion.
And Holland was ultimately caught in a Darce choke before tapping out.
You came into this fight far overweight.
I don't care about that, bro. I killed that guy. Gotta go for everybody. I come from right here. Let's come now. Give it to both guys who left here. I fight the both of them.
It should be noted that the lack of professionalism showcased by Khamzat in the events leading to the fight turned many fans against him.
You can act like he was the skunk at the garden party. You'd be right to do that.
Regardless of those controversies, the fact is that he remains an extremely talented prospect who may very well end up champion one day. Whatever happens though, we should all be very excited to watch what he will do next. This is the story of a child who was born in brutal circumstances. He fought against his own destiny and won. This is the story of Khamzat Chimaev, an absolute freak of nature.